Hello friends, this is the second part of a lecture series on Gandhiji's life and ideas and his role in the Indian freedom struggle and also his influence on the struggles for justice all over the world. This is the second part of the lecture series as a tribute to Gandhiji from Sarat Chandra IAS Academy. So in this second part, we'll start with what Gandhiji did after he came back to India on 9th of January 1915, after he completed his successful struggle in South Africa. So we have to first understand how the conditions, the political and social conditions were in India before 1915. Before 1915, the Congress Party was already founded for 30 years. So Congress Party was founded in the year 1885, and between 1885 to 1905, the moderate national leaders, even though they contributed greatly towards politically awakening the educated classes of the Indians, but still their aims were very few successful. Very few of their aims were successful between 1885 to 1905. The moderate era of the Indian national movement was very little successful, but their success lies in preparing ground for the future Indian nationalism and also explaining the ill effects of the British rule and also politically awakening the educated classes of India and also successfully revealing the harmful impact of the British rule and puncturing the legitimacy that the British surrounded themselves. So these were the great achievements of the moderates, but in their aim to win Swaraj for India, they were not completely successful. And the extremist national movement between 1905 to 1917, the extremist national leaders like Lal, Bal, Paul, and also their ideological guru, Aurobindo Ghosh, they were very active. They were a little more successful because they had complemented the moderate national leaders. Actually, many students of history believe that moderate leaders and the nationalist extremist leaders were at loggerheads with each other, but that is not the case. We have to understand Indian national movement and its history as a struggle in complementarity. So they both complemented with each other. So one particular type of action was taken by the moderates and they had achieved a few successful results, and the extremist national leaders had taken another path and they were more successful. It is just like a great puzzle, a giant puzzle. So we have to fit in all the pieces at different places in order to fill the puzzle. No single person can fill the puzzle, but a single person can have a grand vision of how the puzzle can be fitted. That's the contribution of Gandhiji. So after the extremist movement was crushed and the leaders like Bal Gangadhar Tilak were exiled for more than 6 years, and Bipin Chandra Pal was silent because of the political oppression, because of the fear of imprisonment, and when Lala Lajpat Rai was in exile in America and in England and other European countries to spread the ideas of the Indian national movement in the students who went abroad. So these three great national leaders were absent in the political struggle. Bal Gangadhar Tilak was imprisoned for more than 6 years, and Lala Lajpat Rai was outside of India spreading the ideas of the Indian national movement to the students who were in abroad, and Bipin Chandra Pal was silent because of political oppression. Aurobindo Ghosh, after he was released from prison when he was arrested for more than 1 year, he turned to spirituality and established an ashram in Pondicherry and became a saint and a recluse. So, in the Indian national movement, the political stage was empty. And the great national leaders were absent for more than 7 years, for more than 8 years. and the Indian political situation was dull. Only Anibisant was very popular in India when Gandhiji returned. The First World War was going on. Indian political future was uncertain. So in this situation, Gopal Krishna Gokhale, one of the towering giants of the Indian national movement and moderate national movement, asked Gandhiji to return in order to take the struggle forward. So when he returned back to India, Gandhiji was asked by Gopal Krishna Gokhale to remain silent for 1 year, not to involve in any political issues, not to express his opinion, because he spent for more than 22 years in South Africa. So he did not understand anything about the new and developing political situation in India. So this 1 year, he was asked by Gopal Krishna Gokhale to tour all across India in order to understand the problems of the Indian masses firsthand. That Gandhiji did. But when Gandhiji was touring all across India, he received the news that Gopal Krishna Gokhale had died. And Gandhiji was grief-stricken, and he wanted to join the movement started by join the society that was started by Gopal Krishna Gokhale, Servants of India Society, and to work as a social activist. But the Servants of India Society and its leadership were not ready to accept Gandhiji because of his different political views, different ideological inclinations. So in this particular period of time, when a great and a momentous meeting of the Indian National Congress was conducted in Lucknow in 1916, Gandhiji was asked. In 1916, there was a very momentous national session of the Indian National Congress was going on, called Lucknow session of the INC in 1916. This was very momentous because in this Lucknow session, moderates and the extremist leaders of the Congress were reunited. The extremist leaders were welcomed back into the Congress by the moderate leaders on the because of the insistence of Anibisant. So that reunity between the moderates and the extremists had strengthened Congress very much. In the same Lucknow Congress session, the Congress and Muslim League, All India Muslim League, led by Muhammad Ali Jinnah, they came to a political agreement called Lucknow Pact. They both came to a political agreement in order to unitedly fight against the British imperialism, to fight against the British. So because of the unity between the moderates and the nationalist leaders, extremist leaders, and also because of the unity between the Congress and the Muslim League, Indian national movement was strengthened and British rule was in defense. British rulers were in defense. But Gandhiji did not play any important role in the Lucknow Congress session because he was simply an observer. Yet this period of time, when Gandhiji was attending the Lucknow Congress session, a person called Rajkumar Shukla approached Gandhiji from Bihar, from a district called Champaran. He was a Congress leader in Champaran district of Bihar, who came to Gandhiji taking the problems of the peasants of Champaran district of Bihar. They were suffering because of the problem called Teen Khatiya. Because of the problem of Teen Khatiya, they were suffering. Because of the Teen Khatiya system, they were forced to cultivate 3/20th part of their land with indigo. And these indigo was forced upon them by the planters who run the plantations, industries. This indigo crop was used by the planters to produce indigo, the color which was used to dye the textile cloth, but very little amount of price was paid to the peasants. Peasants were receiving only very little amount of price for their crop. And by cultivating the crop, the peasants were also facing the problem of losing soil fertility. So these were the problems of the peasants of Champaran district because of Teen Katya. So Gandhiji went to Bihar and he also first collected petitions, statements from the peasants by using the services of Indian lawyers, and he submitted these petitions to the British government, and the British governor formed a committee with the local magistrate, Gandhiji, and the other notable leaders of Bihar in order to study the issue firsthand. And a report was given by the government appointed committee that there was really oppression practiced against the peasants of Champaran district, and by state action only the Teen Katya system was abolished, and the peasants could cultivate indigo only if they wanted. So that was the first struggle that was conducted by Gandhiji in India. So this struggle taught Gandhiji two things. First one, to bridge the gap between the educated classes of Indians and the peasants of India. If educated classes can be politically awakened of the plight of the peasants and the workers and the poor and the Dalits of India, then firm and united political action could be taken and it could be made successful. That's the first lesson Gandhiji learned from his Champaran struggle. The second lesson Gandhiji had learned from Champaran struggle was the utter plight of the peasants who were lacking even the basic facilities that any civilized person should have, like a decent education for their children, or infrastructure, or clean drinking water, or even food at a affordable price. So Gandhiji believed that before we achieve the ultimate goal of independence, there should be some action on the part of the educated classes in order to lessen the suffering of the peasants, poor, Dalits, and others. So Gandhiji framed his famous policy of constructive program. Constructive program was designed by Gandhiji while he was fighting the oppression of the Teen Katya system, and this constructive program was mainly aimed at lessening the plight of the peasants, the poor, and the oppressed and the Dalits before even we achieve the ultimate aim of Swaraj or Indian independence. So second struggle that Gandhiji had undertaken after he came back to India was the Ahmedabad mill workers strike in 1917. This was not a struggle against the British rule, but against the industrialist of Ahmedabad textile mill, who promised textile mill workers strike. So this Indian industrialist who owned the textile mill promised higher wages and bonus to his employees, his workers, asking them not to leave the industry even after plague hit Bombay. So, Ahmedabad. So, but he promised 70% of wage increase or as bonus, but he only committed to 20% of the plague subsided. So, workers were on strike. They had taken the help of Gandhiji, and Gandhiji first used his method of practicing satyagraha against the Indian industrialist, and also he went on a fast for the first time to solve a problem in Ahmedabad mill workers strike. Again, a committee was formed with the management and also with some of the workers as representatives, and they both agreed as a committee to satisfy for a wage increase of 37%. So in a very peaceful manner, the problem was solved, and no revolutionary action had to be undertaken by the workers. And the third struggle that Gandhiji had undertaken was in the year 1917 in Kheda. Kheda was a district in Gujarat, and the problem that the peasants were facing was against the British rulers who did not give any concession on the land revenue that they had to collect because of the famine-like conditions, because of the scarcity because of scarce rainfall they had received. The yield of the crop was not better, so they were demanding a reduction of the land revenue, but the British government was not willing to do that. So Gandhiji also united the peasants of Kheda district and successfully used the non-violent satyagraha method to get the reduction of land revenue from the British government. So these three, Champaran struggle, Ahmedabad mill workers strike, and also Kheda satyagraha, these were localized struggles. These made Gandhiji understand that Indian people were suffering more than the British oppression. They were suffering because of the social issues like untouchability, social backwardness, and also lack of proper education and decent educational facilities, and also the ignorance of the educated classes of Indians, of the plight of the Indians. These were all the other social problems that Indian peasants, poor, women, and Dalits were facing. So Gandhiji understood that colonial oppression of the British was not the sole cause of all the suffering of Indians. That's the first lesson that Gandhiji had understood. The second lesson that Gandhiji understood in this struggle was that to what extent the method of satyagraha would be successful in the Indian conditions. He tested because when he invented the method of satyagraha in South Africa, those conditions were different from India, and the population of Indians in South Africa was very little, just a matter of 1 lakh people. But in India, the population was large. The conditions were complex, and also the regions were entirely different from one another. And Gandhiji also invented different methods like a constructive program in order to address the immediate concerns of the Indian people, and also in order to provide immediate relief to the Indian people, in order to unite Indian people around certain basic issues that they were all facing. These were all the lessons that Gandhiji understood in India. But the first mass national satyagraha that Gandhiji fought was in the year 1919, when the British government, British legislature passed Rowlatt Act. This Rowlatt Act had taken away even basic liberties, that the minimum amount of liberties that Indians were enjoying at that time. So Rowlatt Satyagraha was the first All India Satyagraha that Gandhiji had started in April 1919. That was a very great success because before 1919 April, there was no single instance where all over India, people had unitedly fought against a single act of oppression. That's the first time. And the second thing that Gandhiji was concerned was, in the same April 1919, British practiced a gruesome massacre of the Indian people in Jallianwala Bagh. In Jallianwala Bagh, British police caused the death of more than 1,000 people. According to official estimates, there were only 374 people were killed. So this Jallianwala Bagh massacre in Amritsar, and also various restrictions that were imposed on the free movement and the freedom of speech, freedom of expression of the Indian people in Punjab through Martial Act, also moved Gandhiji and made him prepare a new form of struggle against the British rule. And at the same time, in 1919, British government announced a new form of political reforms called Montague-Chelmsford reforms. Through these Montague-Chelmsford reforms, very few changes were made to the existing British constitution. Very few powers, liberties were given to the elected Indian representatives. What we demanded during the First World War, while helping the British government in its successful completion of war, was dominion status. That means large part of independence. We demanded dominion status. That means independence, except for a few departments under the British control like defense, foreign affairs, and communications. except for defense, foreign affairs, and communications. All the rest of the powers would be in the hands of the elected Indian representatives. That's what we demanded, we expected from the British after the end of the First World War. But what we got was only Montague-Chelmsford reforms. Very few political powers were actually shared with the Indian people. The British government was not ready to leave India or share political power. This also angered public opinion in India, and Gandhiji also kept that in mind while shaping a new struggle against the British. And in the same year, in 1919 and 1920, British broke the promises that were made to the Muslim community of India while dealing with Turkey or Ottoman Empire, which fought against the British in the First World War. So the Indian Muslim community wanted the British government to fulfill the promises that were made to them, which were mainly aimed at protecting the dignity of the Muslim worldwide head called Caliph. So this was the promise made to the Muslim community of India, who were recruited to the British Indian Army in large numbers. And this promise was broken by the British. They treated Caliph very harshly, and most of the Muslim holy places were taken outside the control of Caliph, and they were given to the puppet rulers of the British. This angered the Muslim public opinion in India. So stitching these four grievances, first one Rowlatt Act, second one Amritsar Massacre and Punjab grievances, third one, dissatisfaction with the Montague-Chelmsford reforms that the British introduced when we demanded for dominion status. And fourth one, the Khilafat issue, where Indian Muslim communities' promises were broken by the British, and Caliph was treated very harshly. So, pinning all these four grievances together, Gandhiji started the Khilafat non-cooperation movement. Khilafat non-cooperation movement was started by Gandhiji on August 1st, 1920. At that time, he started this movement as a part of the Khilafat movement, as a part of the Khilafat committee, and also in his individual capacity. At that time, Congress did not accepted or become a part of this struggle. Congress only passed a resolution and had taken a decision to be a part of the struggle in September 1920 in their Calcutta session, and also in December 1920 Nagpur session, Gandhiji had taken complete control of the Congress, All India Congress Committee. So a session was conducted by the Congress in December 1920 at Nagpur. Here, Gandhiji made several changes to the Congress Constitution as well. He not only started the Khilafat non-cooperation movement, but he also made several changes to the Congress Constitution by replacing the constitutional and legal methods as the aim of the Congress to the peaceful and non-violent methods of Satyagraha as the political strategy of the Congress. And also Gandhiji made several other changes. First one, Gandhiji reorganized the Congress branches in various provinces on the basis of language, on the linguistic basis, not on the administrative provincial basis. That's the second change Gandhiji made. And Gandhiji turned Congress into a mass political organization by making it possible for the members of the Congress, the people of India, to become the members of the Congress only by paying a fee of 25 pice a year. So Congress based a mass political organization, and Congress branches were also opened in every village and taluka of India. And these were the essential changes that, and most importantly, Congress Working Committee was formed inside AICC. Which would work all through the year, executing the policies that Congress framed. So these were the essential changes that Gandhiji made in Congress by making it a mass-based political organization. But the non-cooperation movement was withdrawn by Gandhiji when a violent incident had happened in Chauri Chaura in February 1922. Gandhiji had withdrawn because Gandhiji feared that once violence was legitimized, once violence was chosen as an option to fight against the British, then violence would be perpetrated all over India, And once violence was becoming respectful, when this was successful against the British, then violent methods would also be used in order to fight against the other Indians, because every Indian had a problem with other Indians. The peasants had problems with Jamindars, and the Dalits had problems with the upper caste, and the workers had problems with the industrialists. The wives had problems with the husbands, and the women had problems with men's domination. So if violence was legitimized, it became respectful. If it gives any successful results in their fight against the British, then these violent methods would also be fought in order to solve every Indian problem. Then there would be no use of freedom and independence. They would be useless. So that's why Gandhiji quickly withdrawn the non-cooperation movement, even though majority of the Indian national leaders were only aimed at the achievements. If the violent movement was giving better results, they were ready to condone violence also. But Gandhiji was not like that, because Gandhiji believed non-violence as a doctrine. But for other Congress leaders like Nehru, Patel, Rajaji, Azad, Bose, C.R. Das, Lala Lajpat Rai, for all these great national leaders, violence was only a good strategy, but not for Gandhiji. So after non-cooperation movement was withdrawn in 1922, Gandhiji was imprisoned by giving him 6 years of imprisonment. But Gandhiji was released earlier on health grounds, and then Gandhiji again started participating in the Indian national movement, and Gandhiji also started another satyagraha against the British in 1927, when an all-white committee was formed in 1927 in order to suggest any future political reforms for India. So this Simon Commission was asked by the Simon Commission boycott movement was given a call by Gandhiji, and Indian people participated in large number in the boycott Simon Satyagraha. This Satyagraha was mainly aimed at only one thing, that without Indian element in any future constitutional reform scheme, Indians would not accept such a scheme. So Indians should only determine their constitutional future. That was the aim. So when British were adamant, when British were not ready to share any of the political power or concede dominion status to India, Gandhiji started another satyagraha in South, another satyagraha called Civil Disobedience Movement in 1930. Civil Disobedience Movement was started by Gandhiji in 1930. It was started with a salt satyagraha, a salt march that Gandhiji had undertaken from his ashram in Sabarmati to a coastal town in Gujarat called Dandi. Many great national leaders and intellectuals at the time did not understand the importance of the salt march, because for them salt tax was only a very minor issue. But Gandhiji was a political genius, because he understood the impact of this very little salt tax on the masses of the Indian people. It affected poor more than the rich, because salt tax was a daily tax they had to pay to the British rule, but salt was freely available in nature. So for a product that was freely available in Indian nature, along the coastal region of India, the poor who consume more salt than the rich, they had to pay excess amount of tax. That was the injustice that touched every Indian. So every Indian was a victim of this salt tax. So that would move all the Indian masses according to Gandhiji. So salt tax was a greater success than the non-cooperation movement. So this was another great movement. Another importance of the great salt satyagraha was that civil disobedience movement was that it was widely covered by the international media also for the first time. For the first time, the plight of the Indians and their noble struggle for freedom and independence was given prominent place in political debates and discussions all over the world, mostly Britain and America. So the British public was educated and awakened by the civil disobedience movement of Gandhiji. So Gandhiji was later arrested in May 1930, but later there were talks conducted between Lord Irwin and Gandhiji, and Irwin asked Gandhiji to discontinue the civil disobedience movement, suspend it, and go to London to participate in the second roundtable conference to decide the future constitution of India. So Gandhiji agreed on the conditions of releasing all political prisoners and also abolishing the salt tax and also returning the properties seized by the British police officials who were participating from the people who were participating in the civil disobedience movement. So Gandhiji was never against any political agreements with the British as long as the principles were not compromised. And Gandhiji believed that the masses could not continue on struggling and participating in a great struggle for a much longer period of time. They need respite. They need to get back to their normal times, and they need to rejuvenate their energies. They needed to be politically educated. They needed to be trained in the methods of non-violent struggle, and they needed to actively participate in the constructive program. So Gandhiji believed that the struggles, especially non-violent struggles, prolonged struggles, could not be continued for a longer periods of time. Violent struggles could be continued, but not non-violent struggles, because non-violent struggles would attract masses of the people. So they needed continuous training, they needed continuous commitment, they needed respite from the struggle, they needed to get back to their normal lives. So Gandhiji entered into a political agreement with the Viceroy Lord Irwin and participated in the second roundtable conference, where Gandhiji came face to face with B.R. Ambedkar for the first time in a political conference. And this, actually many people believe that Gandhiji and Ambedkar's conflict actually started in second roundtable conference. But according to me, this is not a conflict of any sorts, because it is an educative experience for both Gandhiji and Ambedkar. By their conflict, by their discussions, by their debates, and by their dissatisfaction with each other and by their disagreements with each other, they both educated with each other. They both educated each other. Gandhiji learned from Ambedkar the importance of immediate respite to the Dalit community, immediate solutions to their problem, and by making the Dalit personalities, but Dalit leaders and Dalit intellectuals as a part of the struggle. And also the limited nature of the reform scheme also Gandhiji learned from Ambedkar. So far many reforms were taken up by many upper caste reforms, but Ambedkar educated Gandhiji of the limited nature of these reforms. Without making Dalits a part of the struggle against untouchability, by only changing, by appealing to the good conscience of the upper caste community, Ambedkar educated Gandhi that this conflict could not be solved. That's what Gandhiji learned from Ambedkar. And what Ambedkar learned from Gandhiji from second roundtable conference and after. Ambedkar learned from Gandhiji that alone fighting against a great problem, a very long, consistent and a very cruel issue like untouchability could not be solved only by the oppressors. We need friends, we need reformers of the upper caste communities also who had to be welcomed in our struggle. That Ambedkar learned from Gandhiji. And Ambedkar also learned from Gandhiji that this is essentially not only a political and a social problem, but also a religious issue. Without demanding certain religious reforms, without demanding changes in the religious scriptures, without taking the support of the upper caste in this manner, in this struggle, to reform the religious scriptures, to change the hearts of the upper caste community who were the perpetrators of untouchability, this problem could not be solved at all. So the limited nature of only focusing on the aspect of political power to solve the problem of untouchability would be unsuccessful. That's what Ambedkar learned from Gandhiji. So they both learned from each other through their struggles, common struggles, through their conflicts, disagreements, etc. But they both had similar views with regard to the role of the role of untouchability that was playing in social backwardness, and the importance of solving this problem as early as possible, and also in their understanding of the importance of democracy in India. The harm that was done by the British rule to India, they both had agreements, but they only disagreed on certain very important issues, which nurtured the intellectual debate on the issue of the abolition of untouchability in India. So, Gandhiji was unsuccessful in convincing the British of the need for granting dominion status to India, but he was successful in convincing the British public mind of the harm that was committed by the British rule on Indians, and also on convincing Ambedkar of widening the scope of his struggle to abolish untouchability. Gandhiji was successful, but Gandhiji was unsuccessful in convincing the British. But Gandhiji was also successful in another manner. Gandhiji argued that Congress party did not represent any single community in India, either the Hindus, upper caste, or only the British India. But Congress party was representing the interest of every section of Indian society. That's what Gandhiji successfully argued with the British. So these were some of the achievements and some of the successes Gandhiji achieved in the second roundtable conference. As soon as he came back to India, Gandhiji was again arrested when a new viceroy was in charge of the Indian administration. So what happened after he came back to India, we will discuss in another lecture. Thank you very much.